Okay, so let me show you the demo for the skin tones. So here we go. Um, let's see. So what you have here, let's start off from the beginning. This is what the materials you're going to need. You're going to be raw sienna, which is goes from left to right. Raw sienna, burnt umber, flesh tones, the vermilion red. But if you don't have vermilion red, I'm using permanent red. It says titanium white and yellow ochre. Now the setup, it goes from, this is the white, yellow ochre, the red, the burnt sienna, burnt umber, raw sienna, and then the flesh tone. Now you can set it up whatever's comfortable for you, but this is the way I set up mine. And you'll understand once we keep going. All right, so the first thing I do is you mix the yellow ochre and the red and the white. So it gives you kind of sort of its basic generic skin tone. And then once you start, let's say, adding the burnt sienna, that makes it even darker. So at this point, if you want to make it lighter, you can. But remember, by just adding white to it, you can make it lighter. Now, let's say you're going to get more skin tones, more say you're going to get more darker. Let's say like to my skin tone here, you add the burnt umber and it makes it even more darker. Once again, you can always add white. You can always keep going with white. Now, once we do this, like my girlfriend has, like, she's half white, so she's got pale skin. So now you want to go that route, go that way. Another way you can go is the top right here. So this is raw sienna, and this is the flesh tone. This is where it comes in handy. You can make this. Now you say you want to make it even lighter, well, you can do that. And you just mix it with white, the flesh tone, you mix these two, and then you mix it with a little bit of white, and then whiter, it gets lighter. You can do that. Flesh tones are really handy, guys. If, let's say, for example, you want to hit a bright spot, like a highlight, without just adding white, because white might just flatten everything. A flesh tone with a little mix of another color will work. And I'm going to give you an example of how that works. So let's look at this one. This is, once again, the picture, the portrait of my girlfriend and stuff. And so what I want you to show you this is, here's how I started. I'm going to take you step by step by this. The first step is, essentially what I did is just flatten everything out. I drew it out, flatten it out. And then I come in with the highlights, with the whites, just white. Everything that's going to be highlighted, you highlight it, everything. And then you come back and you deal with darks, the shadows and things of that nature. I try to avoid using black. You can use a burnt umber, but try to avoid using black on the shadows because it might just flatten it. Or you can maybe even use a bluish, dark blue, a cool color to some degree. So what I do here is, this is the reds. This is the burnt umber, if I'm not mistaken, or the burnt umber. And so I start using that, and then I soften it up a little bit of white, a little bit of more mixture of the colors. So I start getting this, and she has rosy cheeks. That I do know. If you ever meet her, you will notice that. And then here it is. Here's the final thing. Now, it's quite simple. I don't want to make it seem like it's really, really easy. It's practice. That's all it is. Practice. You give, the more you make, the better you get. Simple as that. But I'll show you the final one. Let's do the one. Let me show you the one of my self portrait. So this is how I started. I just posted. I just started drawing. I said, "Fuck it. I'm not gonna make a sketch. I just put it on there. Just pull off a Caravaggio. Caravaggio never made sketches. He just started painting. Boom, vámonos." And so I start doing it. And once again, I start off with the highlights. I make a base, and then I just start highlighting. I always start off with highlights because it's easier. And then from there, just start working with the darks, dark. And you just keep adding little bit more highlights, and then darks. So in other words, you're just going back and forth. You got the darks, you got the highlights, you got the darks, you got the highlights, shadows, highlight. It's not complicated. I mean, once you get the hang of it, and then just keep going with it, and then little by little you get more defined. So in other words, think about it this way: you want to block stuff in as a whole, and then little by little you start narrowing it down to details. For example, details in my eyes. The eyes, for whatever reason, I always do them at the end. And then you end up this. And then you do the highlights. Let's say, for example, the reflections of the glasses, things of that nature. And so once again, it's gonna be, it might seem overwhelming at first, but once you start doing this stuff, the more practice you have, the more paintings you make, the better you get. Simple as that. So with that said, hope you enjoyed it.